Day 3, balls. Lots of cool learning going on here, first graders. Let's have a little look and see what we can see in this sentence. So I'm going to read it for you. I kick a soccer ball, but I hit a ball. I dribble a basketball, but I run with a ball. But I run with a ball. What? So, why have I highlighted these words or underlined these words with green? Do you know why? It's because they're all verbs. A verb is an action word. Hiya. Kick, hit, dribble, run. You try. Kick, hit, dribble, run. So all of those words are actions. Do you think you can work out what you would put into these missing spaces? I kick a soccer ball, but I hit a ball. I dribble a basketball, but I run with a ball. Give it a try. Ooh, before you think you're wrong, you might not be. I kick a soccer ball, but I hit a tennis ball. You could also put golf ball. You could also put ping pong ball, or another one. I dribble a basketball, but I run with a football. Let's take a look at these two different words. What do you notice is the same about these two words? If you said that they've both got L-E at the end of them, you would be correct. They do. These words are a little bit sneaky because they have this L-E sound at the end of it. So instead of being able to say U-I-T, U-E, you have to put this sound together. Ooh. L-I-T-T-L-E says little, and D-R-I-B-B-L-E says dribble. So when you see this L-E at the end, you need to make sure that you're saying that as one sound, not two. What about down here? We see baseball, basket, and basketball. When we look at the sounds for baseball, we can see that it has A consonant E. So is that going to make a long sound A or a short sound? What about here? Basket. Or here, basketball. Well, you just take out the ball, and this is the same word. So we know this would be a short sound. B-ask. And here, B-a. But over here it's different. It would be the long sound A. B-a-s. Baseball. When we see an A consonant E, we need to get used to recognizing that straight away, that that's going to make the long sound A. And when we don't see an A consonant E, we need to get used to knowing that that's going to make the short sound A, usually. Yesterday we looked at what these words looked like and sounded like when we broke them up. Today we're going to look at these words in the text so we can understand them. So let's start with the word putted. The ball is hit with a club, then it is putted into a cup in the grass. Now, you can infer a little bit from what the word putted means. Let's take a look. Then it is putted into a cup in the grass. So, putted, must mean that something is done with the ball. But you need a little bit more schema to understand from an adult so that you can understand what it actually means. What putted means is to gently tap the ball into the cup. What about the word dribbled? When we look at basketball, it says the ball is dribbled with your hand. Okay, so we can infer that dribbled must be an action that you do with your hand. We also need a little bit of schema for this one from an adult. To dribble means to gently bounce the ball on the ground and for it to bounce back into your hand. It's a specific action that you do. You've probably heard of the word dribbled. Dunked is another specific word just to basketball. You won't find dribbled or dunked quite the same as you would in basketball. Then it is tossed or dunked into the basket. The picture doesn't help us here. Dunked means to jump up and slam the ball down into the basket. What about the word lacrosse? This ball is tossed with a stick that has a net basket on the end. This ball is a lacrosse ball. Well, the nice thing about this is that the whole page explains what lacrosse is. It's a sport. Lacrosse is the sport. You could probably infer that from the whole story by thinking, well, they talked about tennis on one page, golf on one page, basketball. Here they're talking about lacrosse. So we can infer this one a lot easier than the other words. And you can see here that putted, dribbled, and dunked are all verbs. But this word here is a noun. It's a thing. Yesterday we looked at the end of words that had ed. So we had toss, dunk, kick, putt, dribble. Then we changed it to tossed, dunked, kicked, putted, dribbled. Now, ed makes a different sound at the end of different words, depending on the word. So, what can you hear at the end of these different words? Listen carefully. Tossed, d-t-id. Dunked, d-t-id. Kicked, d-t-id. Putted, d-t-id. Dribbled, d-t-id. What did you get? If you heard these sounds, tossed, dunked, kicked, putted, and dribbled, then you'd be correct. Those are the sounds you can hear at the sounds of different words. So, when you see ed at the end of a root word, sometimes you say d-d, or t-t, or i-d-id. Let's talk about diagrams. With this. We talked about what a label was. A label is a picture, a word inside the picture that explains more. Label, like basketball. A diagram is something that explains with a whole entire picture. So you might have drawn pictures and words and lots of different things going on in a diagram. Diagrams can be lots of different things. Then there's a comparison. It shows what things look like compared to each other. You might compare size, color, shape, lots of different things. What is this an example of? I see basketball, hoop, stand. This would be an example of labels inside a diagram, because you can see there are dotted lines going towards the hoop. The basketball is not being held by anyone, so that's not possible. And there's a stand, there's nothing else in the picture. So we'd call this a diagram. We'd call these words labels because they're words inside the picture. What I want you to do next is to read these different words, and what we're going to do is we're going to pluck out some words from the story that go into each of these different sports. So we've got soccer, golf, baseball, basketball, lacrosse. Don't think that was a word in the story, but that's one of the sports. Tennis, ping pong, and football. What would be one or two words that you would associate with each of the different words that you see? Well, let's look through and see. For the word soccer, some of the words you would associate would be kicked. What else? Net. Those would be words that you would associate with soccer. What would you associate with golf? Well, how about club? Putted. Maybe even cup. What would be a couple of the words that you would associate with baseball? Mitt would be one of them. Bat would be another. Anything else? Maybe you can think of some other words like diamond or field. What about basketball? There's basket. Might call it a hoop too. Dribbled is a really important one. Tossed and dunked. In lacrosse, it does say lacrosse. In lacrosse, we have tossed, stick, net, lacrosse ball, basket. So that one has lots of different words that also come from other sports. What about here? This is tennis. We have racket, net. Anything else you can think of? Ping pong, net, and ping pong. You might even say hit is another one you would use. What about football? Pass, run, kick. So, there are a number of words that you would associate only with certain sports and not with others. Let me fill up this list and we'll see if you got some of those. Take a moment to look at this list. We've got soccer. In soccer you would kick and there would be a net or a goal. In golf, you'd associate the words club, putt, cup. Baseball would have mitt, bat. Basketball has lots. Dribbled, basket, dunk, toss, defense. Lacrosse would have basket, toss, net. Tennis would have racket, net. Ping pong would be net. And football would be pass and kick. Can you think of other words that you would put into these? It's time for you now to go and read Balls by yourself. Happy reading!